Executive Director of Doctors Without Borders Canada. And thank you so much for being here, Ms. Begg. Talk to me about what your really wonderful workers have seen in Gaza, and what is your outlook for how things are getting better, worse, changing?
Yeah, thank you, Joy, for having me. We've put this outlook very recently in a comprehensive report called Gaza, Life in a Death Trap. And this is really our collective howl of outrage. It's an escalation for the urgent need for a ceasefire. Look, for the past 14 months, our teams are witnessing firsthand that this is a war with no rules and that Gaza remains a place where there's no place safe to run anymore. Palestinians, young and old, are being killed in their homes. They're being killed in hospital beds, something our colleagues have to witness on a regular basis as well. Hospital infrastructures are at their limits, the few that are left behind that are barely functional. The last numbers we have is over 44,500 people dead. 90% of the population is displaced time and again, including our colleagues. What we're seeing in the northern parts of Gaza, Joy, are unmistakable signs of what we're calling ethnic cleansing. Our first-hand reports and observations of the medical and the humanitarian catastrophe align with descriptions from legal experts that are concluding that genocide is taking place in Gaza. These mass killings, the injuries, the forced displacements, unbearable conditions of this suffocating siege are undeniable. And we're telling it like it is and laying bare the brutal reality in this report.
And I will quote from the report, and this is from NBC News reporting, there are clear signs of ethnic cleansing, as you said, by Israel as it wages war in Gaza, according to a report from Doctors Without Borders. Additionally, Human Rights Watch, in a separate report, accused Israeli authorities of intentionally depriving Palestinians in Gaza of access to safe water for drinking and sanitation. Washington Post reports at least 7 infants have died from the cold in recent weeks, and the Gaza Health Ministry says as displaced families struggle to find refuge from the elements. It feels so hopeless, I have to be honest. It feels incredibly hopeless. But sometimes the world kind of needs jarring, concrete information in order to act. There is controversy about whether this would be called a genocide or whether it would be called ethnic cleansing. Does Doctors Without Borders have a view on that?
Look, I can tell you the reality on the ground today, Joy, for the Palestinians living this on a daily basis. I don't think the definitions matter to them. What matters to them is that for the past few months alone, months ago, people were dealing with high levels of food insecurity. People were resorting to eating animal feed, drinking dirty water, eating grass, not having food, or being forced not to give their children food for days. Those conditions, regardless of how you define them, are undeniable, and they continue to exist and are exacerbated today. The UN latest survey by the UN finds that 80% of households have shown that at least one child has not eaten for the past 3 days in their households prior to their survey. The statistics are alarming, and I think that's really what we should be calling the attention to.
What is needed, and can it even get to them? Can aid even get to Gaza at this point?
That's a good question. We have been calling for a peaceful passage, a safe passage for aid to get in. There are designated corridors through which supplies can come in. What little amount is coming in is really just a drop in the ocean of needs that exist in Gaza and are continuing to exacerbate. We've been talking about the winter months that's setting in on Gaza. Last year as well, Gazans were dealing with harsh conditions of the winter. At that time, though, there were still some buildings that existed where people could take shelter in. What our colleagues are telling us today is that so much of that infrastructure is completely destroyed. All that's left is dingy tents and makeshift tents that people are putting up, trying to withstand the elements of nonstop rains, of freezing temperatures. And what we're seeing coming into hospitals that we support or that we run on in our own capacities is pediatric units are full, NICU units are full. 325 infants alone were brought in just the last 2 months, 2 to 3 months, Joy, to one of our supported hospitals, Al Nasser Hospital, showing signs directly related to not being able to handle the cold temperatures that they're seeing in Gaza.
The helplessness of the world is a shame on the world. The helplessness as we see these images, it is shameful. We should all be ashamed that this is happening before our eyes and we can see it and can't do anything about it. It is horrific. But we thank you so much, Sana Beg. Thank you for telling us we need to know, and we cannot allow this to happen without comment and without us at least bearing witness. Thank you so much.